PKF-Kenya today appeared before Senate Ad-Hoc committee on medical equipment scheme, investigating the controversial scheme where 47 county governments leased specialized medical equipment from manufacturers and supplier. Now, our senior political affairs reporter Patrick Amimu is currently speaking to the chairperson of the Ad-Hoc committee, Senator Fatma Dulo. Patrick, I trust you're well. I hand it over to you.
This particular equipment services scheme has been controversial since the governors raised concern over variation of fee from the original 97 million shillings per annum to the current 200 million shillings. That's why the Senate was seized of the matter and has been investigating this particular issue on how this particular least specialized equipment were handled by the counties. And today we had the PKF, who are the financial consultants of this particular medical scheme, and where they appeared before the committee, the senators were keen to know how how it came this particular PKF advised for the lease of equipment against the purchase. But now joining me is the chairperson of the committee, Senator Fatma Dulo. Looking at this controversy, so far you met different manufacturers over this particular lease equipment, and today it was the day for PKF. What do you want to know from PKF?
Now, apparently, there are two companies that were consulted to advise on the financial aspect in terms of the procurement of the equipment. This is PKF and SPA. These companies were supposed to appear before us this morning, but unfortunately, SPA didn't appear. PKF is the only one that appeared. Now, what we wanted from these companies is whether they are the ones who have advised the government in terms of leased equipment, because apparently when the ministry appeared before us, they said they were guided by PKF in terms of pricing of the equipment, and the pricing that were presented to us by Ministry of Health, apparently it looks like they are really exaggerated looking at the market price. And these are the things actually we wanted to hear from them. Unfortunately, SPA didn't appear, so we asked them to appear together. But our finding is that the report was submitted only by PKF instead of SPA and PKF. And again, signing of the contract was only done by PKF. So we really wanted to know what is the relationship between the two companies, and also how they justified the exaggerated prices of the equipment. For example, if I may give you an example of drip stand, in the procurement process that was advised by PKF, a drip stand is costing 250,000 Kenya shillings, which clearly shows that the market price is much lower than that. So we wanted to find out why this exorbitant price, when the real price, if you go for direct procurement, should have been less than that. And again, you know, they are the ones who have advised that leased equipment is better than direct procurement. So we wanted to know what justifications they have used to advise the ministry to take that particular route. Unfortunately, we didn't have proper engagement because SPA was not there. We also wanted to know whether the company is legally established, because they didn't have CR 12 from Registrar of Companies, and those are the things we needed from them. And also, since SPA is not there, we were being told by PKF, they are the lead consultants, but there was no way that we could engage the company without their partners being in place. So that is the reason why we send them away to advise them come back when we are ready for them. Our finding basically on the ground is that, of course, there's a lot of money that has been used for these equipments, almost 65 million so far. But looking at the equipments in some areas, they are still in their boxes. And these are the things Senate is actually investigating to give advice to the relevant government institution, whether this particular project has given value for money for our citizens in this country.
And looking at it, the CEO of Kenya appeared before the committee and said they were not involved in the variations of these particular figures from the original initial 97 million to the now current 200 million, despite the fact that some of these equipment, as you rightly put so, are lying idle in these health facilities and not benefiting Mwananchi.
Now, this is something we need to interrogate them when they appear next time before us, because variation is almost 100% plus. If they say that they were not involved, we want to know why they were not involved, because they are the ones who have initially advised on the pricing. So if the price has moved from 95 to 200 million per county, that is too much. So it's something that we need to investigate. And another thing we established is that the same company that actually advised on the pricing are the ones who are doing monitoring and evaluation, which clearly is conflict of interest. So those are the things we really need to establish when they appear before us next time. And I believe it should be, they should be properly next time before the committee for us to be able to engage properly and investigate what really unfolded in this particular process.
And looking at it, your committee, when it's been out to look for these manufacturers and suppliers, some of the time we told that these manufacturers are abroad and they cannot make it, and they instead send their local representatives here in the country. What of the case of PKF? Because it only happened one person out of 18 these signatories or shareholders, only one person came to appear to speak on behalf of the other companies. I don't know whether your committee is comfortable that such should happen, or you want all those people, in all those players, to be represented when you are doing this probe.
Apparently, there are several companies that appeared before us, and there are some who are the partners actually abroad. For example, the contract requires the manufacturers to be the ones who have participated in the bid, and where we find that the locals are the ones who are appearing before us, what we are looking at, do they have powers to be able to represent their representative who are abroad? In the instances where they don't have powers, we send them away. And there are some who appeared with power of attorney that authorized them to sign the document or represent them on their behalf, which we have allowed because that is a legal instrument. But for PKF today, they had about 18 directors, and some of them, they even call them proprietors. There is only one director who appeared before us, and he didn't have even power of attorney to show that he's legally supposed to represent the company. And what we requested him is to go back and come with either power of attorney and also those representatives. And I can give example of several companies that representatives came all the way from China, from Netherlands, especially Philips. There are some who even came from India. So that doesn't mean PKF should not appear with their representative wherever they are if they don't have a legal instrument to allow them to authorize to sign the document or represent them before the committee. So the committee is keenly looking at all those documents to make sure that the representative are legally before the committee and they can be able to answer all the questions put to them.
And maybe lastly, at what time span do you see yourself finishing this particular probe before you write your report?
We are not very far, but apparently we are supposed to do some visits also to the regions where we are informed by Ministry of Health some of the equipments are lying idle, especially the Western region, the Rift Valley region, and Nyanza region. Those are the areas we are left with. We are done with Coast, we are done with Eastern, and also maybe Northeastern that we need to visit. So we are looking at when Senate resumes come February, we should be able to table our report and advise accordingly.
Thank you so much. That is Senator Fatuma Dulo, the chairperson of the Ad-Hoc committee, trying to investigate these managed equipment services, the scheme that costing county governments 65 billion shillings over a period of seven years, leased equipment against the direct purchase. So it's a matter that the Senate is probing, looking into whether this particular idea was value for money. From Parliament, back to you, studio. Ashley.
Thank you very much, Patrick Amimo there. Patrick Amimo having a conversation with Senator Fatuma Dulo, who is the chairperson of that Senate Ad-Hoc committee, breaking down the issues, some of the issues that PKF-Kenya was to shed light on this day as they appeared before the Ad-Hoc Committee on Medical Equipment Scheme, where 47 counties